welcome back. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming. You are welcome to stay off screen if you so choose. I have no issue with that whatsoever. So let's get started with the questions. First one, what do you think of when I say gentleman?
I think of someone that's. My thoughts on a gentleman go beyond what most people think. Most people tend to think how they're dressed. I think I think a gentleman is someone that is. It's more about character and personality than anything else. I think it's someone that is considerate and kind to any and everyone that they meet, regardless of whether they can benefit them or not.
That's a good answer. Actually, I never thought of it that way. Just I do. The first thing that comes to mind is someone that is well dressed, not
Mhm.
necessarily a suit and tie,
Right.
but mannerly. Oh, I wouldn't say old man, but
Right.
old style,
Right.
like from the old like 50s and
Mhm.
60s. That type of style was more common at that
Right.
time. That
You
type of personality was
you
more common
dressed
at
well
that
when you
time.
went out in public. Yeah.
And not even for anything. You just dressed well going to the grocery store
Mhm.
for not even anything
Right.
special necessarily.
Right.
That's how it got me. How do you get more dressed up to go to something more special?
Right.
That's what always confused me. What do you think every gentleman should know? Something every gentleman should know.
Um Going back to my original answer, I think a gentleman should know how to treat everyone. Like I said earlier, it's someone that treats people well regardless of their social status. And a gentleman should be something that every gentleman should know is how to treat people, because regardless of, yes, people will remember how you dressed to an extent,
Mm-hmm.
but more than the way you were dressed, the way someone treats you, you'll remember that far longer than anything else.
That's fair, actually. That's an. I think Colton kind of had that same
Mm-hmm.
aspect when I asked him that question. So, what do you think every gentleman should own? Something very specific
Mm,
everyone needs.
I would say I would say at least one good suit.
I
And by good,
I
I
agree with
mean,
that one, obviously.
and by good, I mean at least one well-fitting suit, something that doesn't look, it's not too big, because if someone small like the two of us,
Hmm.
it's difficult at times to find something that fits well.
That is exactly right. That's why it's something I always heard from different, you'd call them like gentleman
Mm-hmm.
channels, is it's always good to get one size up
Mm-hmm.
and you can get it tailored, and that way the
It
tailor
fits
has
right. Yeah.
extra fabrics and stuff they can work with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this one probably needs to be tailored just a bit,
Right.
but I'm trying to build mass to
Right.
fit into it better.
Right.
Same with all the rest of my suits that I own. If they're not tailored, I'm trying to fit into them better this year.
Right.
That was kind of the New Year's resolution
Mm-hmm.
that I started. When was that? October, November, right about in there. Because I think it's honestly pointless to start something
Right.
on January 1st.
Right.
I think the statistic actually is they actually give that thing up
Mhm.
by the
Pretty
second
quick.
week
Pretty quick. Yeah.
of January.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think every gentleman should carry on their person every day?
Um. This is going to come out of complete left field, but a good functional pocket knife.
That was actually Colton's answer.
I think that's something that every gentleman should carry with them, because you never know when it'll come in handy.
Just like for us, we probably use it. We have a string on our suits,
Mhm.
on our ties. That has happened to me on numerous occasions.
Mhm.
Or I forget to cut a tag off my
Mhm.
suits. That has happened many times. And that's actually the only time I've ever cut myself with a pocket knife. Is I was holding the tag,
Mhm.
and I thought I had my hand far enough away, and I cut this way,
Mhm.
as you're supposed to, and somehow I cut along that finger. It didn't hurt nearly as bad as you think it might,
Mhm.
but it was too sharp to hurt, almost,
Mhm.
is a weird way to say it. Do you have any advice for an aspiring gentleman?
Mm. My advice would be to remember how you want to more. It goes back to scripture. Well, not necessarily. I don't know if this is scriptural or not, but golden rule that we were taught growing up: treat others the way you want to be treated.
I'm pretty sure that's in Matthew, somewhere
So,
in the
mhm.
Beatitudes. I think. Don't
Oh,
quote me on that, but I think it is.
but it's always a good rule is to live by, is to treat others the way that you want to be treated. If you wouldn't like the way, if you wouldn't like it, chances are someone else wouldn't like to be treated that same way.
I mean, that's a fair point. So, what about role models that you find? I mean, obviously, God is the ultimate,
Mm-hmm.
but what about other people in the Bible that specifically you feel?
Mm. The one that comes to my mind the most is David, because while he was, well, two, David, because he's considered a man after God's own heart, and while he's considered a man after God's own heart, in no means was he perfect. He had shortcomings like we all do, but he's considered a man after God's own heart, because when he fell short and he realized he fell short, he was quick to do an about face. And the other one is Moses,
Honestly,
because
with the way you're going, I did not see Moses.
because he was considered in Hebrews, he's called a friend of God.
I didn't know that. I honestly didn't know that. I thought where you're
Well,
going.
is it Moses or is it Abraham? One of the two. I can't remember. Let me check real quick.
I honestly thought where you were going with that was Paul, because a lot of people think of him as, I wouldn't say above the other 12,
Mm-hmm.
but they think of him as one of the 12, even though he wasn't
Right.
considered one.
I'm wrong. I misspoke when I said Moses. It's Abraham. Abraham
Oh,
is considered a friend of God.
but that's, you also have to, not necessarily from,
Because it talks about in James that Abraham believed God and it was counted for him. It was credited to him as righteousness, and he was called a friend of God.
you do really have to look at Moses as someone that you would not want to be, just because when God said, do this, do that, the first thing he said was,
he made excuses.
I can't.
Mm-hmm.
How am I supposed to?
Whereas
Where are they?
Abraham,
Why would they believe me, of
Mhm.
all people?
Whereas Abraham, God instructed him to leave any and everyone, which resonates. He instructed Abraham to leave family, leave everything that was comfortable, everything that he knew, and to go to an undisclosed location that he didn't know about. God didn't tell him where he was going. He just told him to follow him, and he didn't find out where he was going until he made it there. And it
That's
takes
true.
a level of obedience and trust to follow when you don't know where you're going.
Which is why I believe Abraham is in the Hall of Faith in
Mm-hmm.
Hebrews.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the main reasons was because of his faith and belief
Mm-hmm.
and obedience. That's the word
Yes.
I was looking for.
Yes.
Because it said by faith Noah. Did it say by faith Abraham? I don't think it did. I think it mostly talked about his obedience as
Mhm.
to following with what God said.
Right.
But so I was going to tell you. I mentioned it earlier while we were talking. Mine is going to come kind of out of left field as well.
Mhm.
Gideon.
Okay.
Not many people look at him as a role model
Mhm.
because when he was approached by the angel, he did the same thing. Made an excuse. It's like my brothers would do better.
Mhm.
I think he said I'm the smallest tribe.
Mhm. He did. He talked about being from the smallest tribe.
And that's also what Saul said. But
Yep.
and if I'm not mistaken, Paul was also a part of that same, or was it Manasseh or Ephraim?
I can't remember what tribe Paul was from.
I'll look it up after this, but and the next few things he did was
Mhm.
asked for a sign. That was
Mhm.
one of the first things he asked for. And I kind of was the exact same way when I decided I was going to do the channel.
Mhm.
I didn't necessarily say, as Hezekiah did, and make the sun go back 5 steps.
Right.
But I feel like it was given to me just because of, as you can see, this notebook is mostly full of stuff
Mhm.
for ideas and questions and different topics. I have another notebook with even more pages full, and that's why I believe I should
Mhm.
have started it. And Pastor gave me his approval to start it from here, just because there are more rooms here,
Right.
and 99% of the time the air is going to be on one of them. So, thank you for coming again.
Thank you.
Good to have you. And so, I keep forgetting to do this every single time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment a topic, because I'm running out of ideas. There are a few, one of which Cade gave to me, and I'm going to bring that up with him, and the next video is going to be him, if I can manage it.
Good luck.
I know. I
You
know.
probably were beginning to wonder if you'd ever get me nailed down.
Well, the only reason I mainly just didn't give you an option. I came in here and said I have everything set up whenever you're ready. And that's exactly what I think I said to you.
Mhm.
But you had to go and almost down me the last time. All right. Again, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
See you next